So we've already covered the Z97 chipset back when the Haswell refresh launched, but there was just locked processors to go on your new Z97 boards. Now, Intel has unleashed 3 unlocked processors, and gamers like you can finally have a new CPU to get excited about. And MSI has updated their gaming motherboard lineup with Z97 to help you take full advantage of the entire Haswell refresh lineup. But what are these yellow arches? Wait a minute, and X's. You can't have a yellow M. Okay, it's a very different yellow M, but don't worry too much about that. These are the XPower and M-Power spec motherboards built specifically to squeeze the very most out of your new unlocked Haswell refresh processor. These Bumblebee boards are designed to be best buddies with the i7-4970K. So as I said before, there are 2 main lineups, so let's start with the gaming stuff first. MSI has heard your pleas and done away with the crazy code names. I mean, who knew what those meant anyway? I knew what they meant, but now we're going with a simple, like kind of BMW style, odd numbering naming scheme. We've got the Z97 3, 5, 7, and 9 gaming. They've kept the classic black and red color scheme and also the dragon branding. Across the board, you're getting several key features. Audio Boost 2 is powered by Creative Sound Blaster Cinema 2. EMI shielded isolated audio PCBs allow you to keep interference away from your audio gear. It's also got a dedicated power input and gold connectors, which don't actually improve connectivity, but they can help the connectors last longer. They've all got killer E2200 gigabit networking, and they all have an M.2 slot with an optional adapter that you can buy that converts it to SATA Express. All have Guard Pro, which is their guarantee to you that they are focused on high quality with multi-layer PCBs and components that are treated to protect against humidity, high temperatures, electrostatic discharge, and electromagnetic interference. And they've got a gaming port, which is a dedicated USB port with 3 times more gold than a regular connector, meaning it's rated at 10 times more insertions. So 10 times more insertions means that if you're the kind of person who, like me, has a mouse that requires you to unplug it and plug it back in all the time. Actually, I don't have that mouse anymore. But if you have one that is like that, then you don't have to worry about wearing out that port, I guess. OC Genie 4 boosts your CPU, integrated GPU, and memory up by about 20%, and they're all updated with ClickBIOS 4, which is the latest UEFI optimized for Windows 8 compatibility. The differences, and there are obviously some small differences, you know, from USB ports and display ports and all that kind of stuff, but let's focus on the major differences. So the Gaming 3 has 2 PCI Express 16X slots, the others have 3. The Gaming 3 only supports Crossfire, while the others can do SLI as well. The Gaming 9 has 802.11 AC wireless and Bluetooth 4.0, and the Gaming 9 has Dragon Armor and a protected I/O cover, which MSI says is a protective shield to keep the audio and I/O signals pure and free from electromagnetic interference, although what effect it actually has in the real world is pretty difficult to measure. Gaming 7 and 9 have 12 PWM phases and use high C caps designed for 93% efficiency while providing enough spacing around the CPU socket that you can use a large cooler, even though there's all them power phases. And finally, there's also MATX and ITX versions of these boards with the Z97i Gaming AC and the Z97M Gaming, which the second one isn't quite here yet, but obviously the ITX one is very, very small. So these 2 boards are mostly based on the Gaming 7 and just squeeze down the form factor. Now it's time for the yellow beasts over here. Now the first thing you're going to see is the prominent X and M branding, not to be confused with S and M. The yellow is part of their Lightning DNA concept. Now the XPower AC and M-Power Max come with water cooling capabilities for the chipset and the VRAM. The M-Powers each have 3 PCI Express slots, while the XPower has 5. They all come with OC Engine, which lets you overclock with a non-standard base clock, so you're no longer limited to 100 megahertz, sort of plus or minus just a little bit. The clock generator lets you adjust to 100, 125, or 167. On board, you've got easy buttons, voltage checkpoints for manual multimeter readings on all of your voltages, their go-to BIOS button, which lets you boot right into the BIOS, their debug LED, which lets you debug with that, and dual BIOS chips, so in case you brick one, you're still going to be okay. The XPower, compared to the M-Power boards, ups the ante with a 16-phase power design, their OC fan stand for applying directed airflow at the CPU, and onboard buttons get an upgrade with a direct clock speed and multiplier adjustment functionality built right into the board. It also has a discharge button, which is an even deeper level of clear CMOS that also clears the PCH. The PCI Express slots can be toggled individually on and off with dip switches at the bottom of the board. They have a de-lidding die guard, which means you no longer need to put the lid back on. Just use this to distribute the pressure so you don't crack your core in case you need to take off that IHS. And one last kind of neat thing, it comes with an 8 gig USB drive containing the drivers. That's kind of neat. Bye-bye CDs. Thank you for watching, guys. Comment below. Would you like to see a guide on how to delid a CPU? Have you guys lost your minds? Okay, would you guys like to see a guide on how to delid a CPU? Have you ever tried it? Let us know. Don't forget to subscribe to NCIX Tech Tips for more videos like this from ncix.com.